Okay. All right, so I told you this morning, last night was part one. How do you prevent conflict? How do you resolve conflict? And we talked about perceptions. And I like everything I teach. Come on, we all like our own thoughts. We think we're brilliant. But the perceptions part, when people started to share that with me, it really made a difference. When I could step back and strive to have a godlike perception on all matters of life. If things go well, I try to say, praise the Lord. If things go bad, I try to say, thank you, children. So, I told you this morning in church, the germs. If you didn't get a chance to write them down, this is your chance. The first germ was escalation. Escalation, again, to remind, is when those little things become big things. They get out of hand, and you know what I'm talking about. You've been embroiled in conflicts that they weren't that big a deal, but they took over, and it's probably because they escalated, and it's a danger sign. It definitely is. The second germ we talked about was negative interpretations. Not just misunderstanding what the other person is saying, but ascribing a negative motive. You're just sure that they're out to get you. They're out to do you harm. And I heard a quote several years ago. I thought I knew whose quote this was, but when I looked to validate that, to verify it, I don't know who this is, but listen to this quote. We judge ourselves by our motives. We judge others by their actions. We judge ourselves by our motives. We judge others by their actions. So maybe I messed up, but I was well motivated. I was well intended. I didn't mean to mess up. You, on the other hand, messed up, and we never stopped to think that maybe they didn't mean to do it. Amen? So negative interpretation is dangerous. The loved people in your life are probably not out to get you. I'm just telling you that. Sometimes, yeah, maybe. Maybe you've hurt them and they want revenge, or maybe they're not at their best and they're taking it out on you. I don't know, but hopefully the people you love and the people who love you are not on a crusade to bring you down and hurt you. I hope that's not the case. Again, we talked about invalidation this morning, the subtle or not so subtle put-downs. Folks, they hurt. Let me tell you why. Especially in a love relationship, we all have that negative inner voice from the time we were little children, and our classmates laughed at us and teased us and made fun of us, and parents said things to us, you dummy, you whatever, that shouldn't have been said, but we start to form the concept that we're not all that much. And then we meet somebody who sees value in us. They think, hey, they are a worthwhile person. I like you, and that feels so good, but when they turn around and join the chorus of negative voices, ooh, do you know how painful that can be? Don't do it. Don't invalidate. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to avoid these germs. Avoidance withdrawal, that dance between the one who wants to talk and the one who wants to walk. Some of you might not know what that dance is. My hunch is most of you do. It's a very common dance, and I promised you the fix. We're going to do it. And then the fifth germ was no fun. If we're not having fun, it's hard to maintain the health of a relationship. I'm not saying impossible, but it makes it more challenging. So there's the 5 germs. Any questions, by the way? I got time built into this presentation for questions, so don't feel bad if you have one, somebody else has the same question, but they're not brave enough to ask it. So anybody going once? Going twice? Yeah, we've got a roving mic. Ron is ready. Which Ron Johnson's the real Ron Johnson? I should ask his wife Linda, shouldn't I? You're the real Ron Johnson, or you have a question? Okay, can we get the mic? Ron, can we get the mic, please? Yeah, he blew me away. I've known this Ron Johnson and Linda for several years, and I said, what's your name? He said, Ron. Or he asked me, I'm Ron. Oh, we're both Rons. He says, Ron Johnson. I said, no, you're not. What do you got, sir? What's your name?
Bob.
Bob. What do you got, Bob?
So on avoidance withdrawal, and I remember being in a lecture where that might have been referred to as gunny sacking. Is that term still used? Where
you know what? Tell me what gunny sacking. It could be. What does that mean?
Well, there's issues, but instead of dealing with the issues from the get-go, you gunny sack and gunny sack, gunny sack. You keep on putting it in there until the gunny sack blows
Boom.
over nothing that was pertinent to why
Right.
it started.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. I hadn't heard that term, but yeah, it can go by other names as well, but it's very common. I'd ask you to raise your hand if you have no idea what we're talking about. You don't know what avoidance withdrawal is, but again, I'd worry about your honesty if you said, I don't know. We've all done it at times. So gunny sacking, I like that. I like that. Covey, habit number 4. Are some people familiar with the Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? It's a wonderful program. It really is. And those of you who has teenagers in the room, all right, we're going to pause for prayer. His son, Sean, wrote a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, for highly effective teens. It's a great book. And if we can get teenagers to form some good habits, maybe we can help them better navigate those turbulent adolescent years. But habit number 4, I shared last night, is think win-win. Think win-win. If you have that mindset, you're in a relationship, and not only what's in it for me, but what's in it for you, or even better, what's in it for us. If you have that mindset, then you're probably not going to escalate because you're not working against each other. You're on the same team. You're not going to negatively interpret if you're thinking win-win. You're not going to invalidate. So all of these antidotes are going to apply to more than one of the germs. Covey, habit 4, think win-win or no deal for now. My actual favorite habit of the Covey habits is number 5. Seek first to understand. Hi there. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Let me tell you something I know about you. Let me make eye contact with everybody in the room because I'm talking to you. Where's the Facebook folks? Over there. I'm talking to you. You want to be understood by the important people in your life. Take it to the bank. You want to be understood. And that's been with you from birth. You know, we come into this world and our only means of communication is crying. And we want somebody to understand, why are we crying? Are we cold? Are we hungry? Are we soiled? Do we just need to be comforted? We want to be understood. And then we progress and we become toddlers and we gain some mastery. I shouldn't say mastery. We gain some experimentation with the English language. Have you ever been around a toddler who's trying to be understood and nobody's understanding them? Is that a fun experience? Doggers. Ooh, they can get upset because they're not being understood. And again, that was us at some point. And then we go to elementary school and we want to fit in. We want to be understood by our classmates and our teachers. And then if we survive middle school, we make it to high school and then on into the world and what have you. To this day, you want to be understood by the important people in your life. Well, guess what? The important people in your life want to be understood by you. So what happens is, so often we have 2 people or more who are each trying to be understood at the same time, so they're both talking. Well, if both are talking, who's listening? And if nobody's listening, who's understanding? Again, I told you last night, this isn't rocket science. Or in the words of Paris Hilton, it's not rocket surgery. Bless her heart. It's common sense. You want to avoid the germs? You want to have a healthy relationship? Seek first to understand the other person, then to be understood. We'll talk more about that as we go on. But here is one of my favorites. Is anybody counting how many favorites have I had so far? I think I'm up to 23. This one, I mean it. Call a timeout. But here, mark this down, please. You must call a timeout the correct way. Too often, people call a timeout the wrong way, and it makes it worse, not better. And by the way, this is not a shameless plug. I want you folks to have these books if you want them. If you don't want them, you don't have to. But I write about this stuff in detail in these books. As Pastor said last night, you can go online and buy them for $60 whatever plus with tax and shipping. Thanks to the church agreeing to buy several, you can get them for $40. And this is Sabbath. We're not going to collect money today. You're going to put your name on this. You're going to take the books with you. It's honor system. But you read these books, you'll have these skills. You're not just hearing them one time. You'll have them. You'll incorporate them into your relationships. That's my hope. All right, how do I want to start this? You have a part of your brain that thinks. Brace yourself. You're about to hear my worst joke of all time. You have a part of your brain that thinks. It's called the frontal lobe. It's the seat of logic and reason and rationale. Do you know what I'm saying? The frontal lobe. In fact, that's where we get the expression, I would rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. And you're the one that invited me. Do you know what these people are thinking about you right now? Frontal lobe, the command center of the brain. Now, this is fascinating. Hold on, listen to this. This is fascinating. There's a verse in the Bible, I think it's Isaiah, where God says, come, let us reason together. So, again, the frontal lobe is the reasoning portion of the brain. When you put somebody in an MRI and you tell them to sing a hymn or pray or praise God, do you want to guess what portion of the brain lights up? It's the frontal lobe. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's not amazing. It's God designed it that way. He meets us in the frontal lobe. We need the frontal lobe to do life effectively. We also have the limbic system, or the deep limbic system. The amygdala is the seat of emotions. If you're happy, you're sad, you're frustrated, you're excited, that's a different part of your brain that's in operation. And what can happen to us as human beings is we can get so upset about something, so agitated, so irritated, we will shut down that thinking brain. We'll get smacked down in the emotional brain. And when that happens, good luck. Good luck. If that happens behind the wheel of a car, what do we call it? 2 words. Road rage. Road rage. Intelligent people driving down the road, minding their own business, all of a sudden somebody cuts them off or whatever. What do? They snap. They ram them off the road. They get out of the car and they fight them. If they have a weapon, they shoot at them. How thinking smart are those behaviors? They're not. At that moment, you are temporarily insane. No joke. You are not thinking at all. Now, good luck explaining that to the judge. Well, judge, you have to acquit me because I was temporarily insane. When the judge starts laughing, he'll give you your sentence and hope you get help later on. We can't use that as an excuse. One researcher calls it being flooded, that your emotions will flood out your thought process. And when that happens, none of us are capable of rational thought because we're not operating from the rational part of our brain. Does that make sense? Am I connecting here? So what you need to do when you recognize that is call a time out. Acknowledge, you know what, this is not the time for us to talk. If we try to engage right now, it's not going to go well. I'm not at my best, or we're not at our best. Time out. But here's the rule, and write this down, please, because I don't think I let you do it. Anywhere on the paper, write this down. Whoever calls the time out, whoever calls the time out must call the time in. Whoever calls the time out must call the time in. It is time out, not cop out. You with me? So here's the situation. Now I'm gonna get gender stereotypical, but it's not as much as you might think. They did studies and they found out that of the genders, one is more communicative than the other. Oh, I am in good company, okay. But you know what, seriously, not as much as I think. In one study, about half of the time, about 50% of the time, the woman wanted to talk and the man didn't. About 25% of the time, the man wanted to talk and the woman didn't. So it's not as unbalanced as you might think. The rest were even. Either both wanted to talk or neither wanted to talk. But yeah, typically the woman is the talker. She wants to talk, and the man is the gunny sacker or the walker. Again, thank you for that, Bob. So it gets frustrating because the woman wants to talk and the man doesn't. And here's the key. You got to know this. Both dancers are well motivated. Both dancers are doing what they're doing for good reasons. They just don't look well motivated to the other. Let me break that down for you. The talker. Ladies, back me up on this. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, tell me that too. When you want to talk about an issue, your mindset is, hey, let's sit down, let's talk this out. We can fix this. It doesn't have to be a problem. Is that? Does that sound right? Yeah, well motivated. But check this out, ladies. If the guy has just told you, I don't want to talk to you right now, and you say, I don't care, talk anyway, do you see how you're not going to come across well motivated, even though you are? Because the man is well motivated. Guys, get ready, back me up. The man's thinking in that situation, you know what, as upset as I am right now, I'm liable to say or, God forbid, do something that I don't want to say or do. I've got to take myself out of this situation. Guys, does that sound familiar? Yeah, well motivated. And again, sometimes the woman is the walker and the man is the talker. But again, the talker is well motivated. They want to talk it out and fix it. The walker is well motivated. They're trying to avoid an ugly situation. So here's how you fix it. Here's how you fix it. All the walker has to say is, you know what, time out. I'm not in the right frame of mind to talk right now. I'll be back in an hour. We'll talk then. Time out. It won't go well right now. How about let's get together at 3 o'clock today and we'll talk about it then. So then the walker knows, okay, we're going to talk about it. If they don't know that, you just walk off, and that's what most people do. They say, time out, and they storm out of the room. Well, this person's left to wonder, well, are you coming back? Are you rejecting me? Are you rejecting the relationship? They don't know. Call a timeout, announce the time in. I did a wedding for a couple, and I did their premarital preparation. I don't like the term premarital counseling. I don't like that term. You're not neurotic, psychotic, or schizophrenic just because you want to get married. But you need premarital preparation. Well, did somebody say you need premarital preparation? Because marriage is tricky business, especially if you don't know what, you've not done it. It's tricky. So premarital preparation. So I said, I want a timeout signal. They said, okay. They came in the next week. I said, what's your timeout signal? They said, red. I said, red? Yeah, redirect emotional distress. I said, oh, I like that. How about code red? Code red, danger. Danger. If we try to talk right now when one or both of us are flooded, it's not going to work. Timeout. Code red, 30 minutes. Code red, 2 o'clock. Code red, whatever. Had another couple, their timeout signal was pineapples. I said, pineapples? They said, yeah, it makes us laugh. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what your timeout signal is, but you need one. You need one. Every important relationship that is going to have conflict from time to time needs a way to stop that before it gets ugly, before words are said that can't be taken back, or actions are made that are totally inappropriate and so forth. You need a timeout signal. Now, by the way, one of two things you can say to another adult. You can say, I need a timeout, or I think we need a timeout. What should you never say to another adult? Yeah, you'll find out how much they do. I'm telling you, folks, in my 29 years of mediation, official mediation, I still mediate now and then, but if people would learn this one skill, to stop, to not say the ugly words that at the moment you want to say, but then you calm down and you didn't want to say them, but you did. Time out. But the rule is whoever calls the timeout must. Do you see the importance of that? You're saying to the other person, hey, I value you. I respect you. I want this relationship. I will come back, just not right now. And I've never met a woman yet who wasn't okay with that, because she knows the conversation will take place in a manner that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. So, excuse me, call a timeout the correct way. Have it in your arsenal. What's next? The SLT, or the talking stick. SLT, by the way, stands for Speaker Listener Technique. Speaker Listener Technique. And talking stick stands for talking stick. This is part of the Covey program. It says right there, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So if you take the 7 Habits class, you get one of these. At least you used to. I don't know if you do anymore or not. But again, everybody wants to be understood. So everybody's trying to be understood at the same time. That's called shoot and reload communication. You've never heard that term, but you know exactly what it is. You fire off, and then you might pause while the other babbles on about something, but you're not listening. You're reloading so that you can fire off again. Raise your hand if you know anybody else who does. Never mind. Shoot and reload is very common, it's very ineffective, it's very frustrating and harmful to healthy relationships. So the speaker-listener technique, it's also called proactive listening, talking stick. One talks, the other... Newsflash, huh? The other what? Actively listens. I like that. Thank you. Yeah. If you know somebody else that you're close to wants to be understood, why not give them that gift? You know you want to be understood. Wait your turn. So speaker-listener technique, let me break it down for you. It's real simple. Rules for the speaker. You speak for yourself. Don't mind read. If you're the speaker, don't say you. Say I feel. I'm concerned. I'm about. I prefer. Speak for yourself. Don't say, you do this and this. Don't be a mind reader. You don't like it when it happens to you. Don't do it to somebody else. Don't go on and on and on. If you want to be understood by somebody else and you talk to them for 30 minutes, that's a sermon, isn't it? Sermons are different. They're ordained of God, and it's okay. But seriously, if you're having a conversation with somebody else and you go on for 30 minutes, how much of that 30 minutes are they going to retain? I don't know either, but not much. Maybe the beginning, maybe the end, but very little in the middle. So you don't do that. You don't go on and on. And you pause to let the listener paraphrase. This is huge. In other words, Dale and I are having a conversation. He's the speaker. He's going to speak for himself. He's going to say 1 or 2 sentences, 2 or 3, not much. And then Dale's going to pause, and all I can do, let me come back. He's going to pause to let me paraphrase. And when I'm the listener, I have to focus on his message. I've got to turn off that mind that is going how many hundreds of miles an hour. You're doing it right now. You're listening to me, but you're still thinking, what's for dinner, or what am I going to do this evening, or what's on, you have other thoughts coming into your mind. I know you do. So do I. Don't worry about it. For this to happen, you got to really focus. Focus on the speaker's message, and then paraphrase what you heard. So Dale will talk to me. He'll say a couple of sentences that are not attacking. He's just sharing information. All I can do is say, Dale, what I heard you say is this, and this. Is that correct? That's all I can say. I can't say I agree. I can't say I disagree. I can't say, what about this? I'm not the speaker. He's the speaker. I'm just the listener. So all I can say is, this is what I heard you say. Did I hear it accurately? And by the way, I'm going to use my own words. If I just parrot back to Dale the exact words that he said, we don't know if I understood him or not. I just memorized his words. So I'm going to put it in my own words. Again, like gunny sacking. Thank you again for that, Bob. It's a different way of saying the same thing, but it helps with the understanding. So Dale's going to say 1 of 3 things. He's going to say, yep, you got it, which is an invitation for him to either say more. I think I'm losing my eyesight. It's getting dark in here all of a sudden. An invitation for him to say more, or he might say, no, that's either not what I meant or you didn't hear it right. Doesn't matter. We know we misconnected. He'll try to take another run at it. Or you know what else he might say? This is fun. He might say, you know what? You paraphrased exactly what I said. But now that I hear it coming from you, that's not really what I meant. Sometimes hearing our own thoughts come back to us from outside our own minds, it clarifies, and we go, no, that's not how I really feel. So we're talking with each other, not at each other. So again, speaker speaks for themselves. Don't mind read. Don't go on and on. Pause to let the listener paraphrase. And by the way, start the conversation off well, please. Don't start off with, what, did you take stupid pills this morning? Listen to me. That's not going to happen. Be respectful. When you're the listener, you focus on the speaker's message and you paraphrase what you heard. And the rules for both, use an object to signify who's the speaker. This can be the speaker. This can be the object, rather. It doesn't matter. Something that symbolizes, okay, I'm the speaker, you're the listener. But then guess what? The speaker keeps the object, while the listener paraphrases. Because again, if Dale's the speaker, he's got the object. When it's my turn to paraphrase, who's the speaker? He is. I'm vocalizing, I'm verbalizing, but he's still in the role of the speaker, so he keeps the object. But then guess what we do? We share the floor, the object. The people I learned this from are Prep Inc., Prevention and Relationship Enhancement Program. They use the floor. They say share the floor, and they've got a floor card and all that. But again, whatever the object is, it signifies who's the speaker, who's the listener. Now, somebody has a question about speaker-listener technique. I just don't know who it is. Okay, that's a good question. Who's next? Seriously, nobody? I mean, that's fine. You can't embarrass me. I'll stand here for 20 minutes and wait. Nobody has a question. It's that rock solid and clear and, man, Ron, you did good. What do you got, Bernie?
I'd like to back up one line where you talked about a timeout. Can you explain what the difference is between timeout and I need space?
Can you?
I think I need space is somebody that's far beyond timeout. Usually that seems to me, in my experience anyway, that when somebody says they need space, they want out.
Out of the relationship?
They want an
Oh, I
exit.
wouldn't think that. I mean, it could be. Certainly could be. I would think that, to me, that means I'm in my emotional brain and I need to get back to my thinking brain, so I need some space alone. Let me get back to my thinking brain and then we can re-engage. It certainly could be, no, I'm done with you and I want space. It could mean that, but that wouldn't be my first guess. In terms of what we're talking about, I'm going to cover this again later, but that's all right. It's called an emotional hijacking. Your emotions hijack your thought processes. And again, any of us, when that happens, we're capable of anything. So I can see somebody saying, oh, man, I need some space, or I'm liable to say or do something I'm going to later regret. I need some space. It could mean I need whole new territory and goodbye. It could be. But I don't think it automatically means that. Depends on other factors in the relationship. So, who else? Can we get back over here to Mary, please?
When one person calls the timeout in a conflict, and the history of that the people in conflict is that one tends to like to have the mad for a few days. Does the person calling the conflict allow the other person to say to talk again?
That's such a good question. That's such a good question, Mary. Seriously, because I forgot to say it. If you call the time out and you're supposed to call the time in, typically within 24 hours. Typically within 24 hours. You cannot put the other person, you know what, I'll tell you what, time out for 6 months and we'll talk about it. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You have a right to say, I will not talk to you about this issue right now. You do not have the right to say, we're not going to talk about this issue. It's your issue, not mine. If we're in a relationship together, if it's your issue, it better be my issue. So thank you for that, a chance to give that. It should be within 24 hours, except by mutual agreement. There may be reasons, maybe you got family coming or, whatever. You may say, all right, we're going to go a little longer, but typically 24 hours max. 30 minutes minimum, because your systems, your adrenaline, your cortisol, all the bodily functions are on hyper alert, and you need a chance to calm down physiologically. But between 30 minutes and 24 hours. My wife and I have a 9 o'clock timeout rule. Across the board, 9 o'clock. If it gets to be 9 o'clock and we're into something, we know we're tired, or irritated, we're not at our best, it's not going to go anywhere. Timeout, we'll deal with it tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's incredible how many times I wake up in the morning going, what was that all about? And I'm hearing some chuckling here. You know what I'm talking about. Just a good night's rest. We were tired. Now somebody say, oh, but Ron, The Bible says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Well, the sun's already down at 9 o'clock. And we're upset, but we know we're going to resolve it. And to not do that is what? To stay up all night in an oh yeah conversation? It's not God honoring. Have a timeout signal. Have a timeout signal. I shared this in a group setting one time, and somebody raised their hand and said, Ron, is that 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.? It's 9 p.m. Yeah, we call a timeout at the start of the day. No, we don't. No, we don't. Anyway, other questions? We got one right in the back here. Oh, you don't have to go far, Ron. What's your name, ma'am?
My name's Terry. I don't understand. You said the object on the talking stick, if the person who's paraphrasing it back is still the listener?
Nate, do you mind standing up for a minute, please? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
how does that work?
So, all right, I'll be the talker. I'll go easy on you. I'm going to say, Nate, I'm concerned. I see a lot of people not walking with Christ the way that I feel they should, and that troubles me. So I'm the speaker. I spoke for myself. Now Nate's going to paraphrase that. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well,
Oh, you weren't listening.
No, I would ask a follow-up question for the point of clarification.
All right, maybe. That's a great point. What would you ask?
Well, the question... Yeah.
Where's the mic? Yeah. No, that's good. That's another great point that I forgot. Thank you. Because the goal, remember, is understanding. Shoot and reload, how we normally talk, is the goal is persuasion. I'm right, you're wrong. And that leads to conflict and damaged relations. The goal here is understanding. So asking a question for clarification, what do you got in mind?
So how do you think they should be walking?
No, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Why is that not
Because for right now, you don't fully understand my issue. You don't fully understand. There's always a hidden issue. And if you jump right there to solving, which most men do, by the way, thank you for that. No, I'm serious. Men are fix-it people. It drives women crazy. Yes. Women will get together in a group and they'll commiserate with each other, bash their husbands. No, I'm kidding. They will commiserate together and not expect to be fixed. Women connect by just communicating. When's the last time you saw a group of guys sitting around, so what are your problems? Men are fix-it people. And so a woman comes to a man with wanting to vent, just wanting to be understood, wanting to be heard, and he rushes to fix it. It's demeaning. It's insulting. No, hold on to it. It's insulting. I'm not done with you yet. It's insulting. You're saying, oh, that's not a problem. Just go fix it. You'll be fine. Guys, listen to me. Just, tell me more. Those are 3 magic words, by the way. You may want to write them down. Tell me more. I'm serious. I do hold private sessions. I charge quite a bit of money for them. So let's start again. Nate, I'm just concerned. I see people that I think ought to be walking with God, and to me anyway, I don't think they do, and it's frustrating. So you would say, so I understand you to say...
So I understand you to say that you're frustrated because you want more for people than what they currently have in terms of their walk with God.
That's interesting. I did not say that. But that's captured. No, that's a good... And you can even say that with an inflection. So are you saying that you wish they would walk more in line? And ask. Because again, the goal is to understand. And I can say, you know what, Nate, yeah, that may be it, but I also think, and then I can add more. But again, I'm holding on to the stick. What?
What I'm understanding you to say is the person talking initially has the talking stick.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's passed to the listener to hold it.
No.
No? When he's paraphrasing it back?
No.
Okay.
Because again, and that's what I was trying to answer, and I didn't do it adequately, forgive me. I'm still the speaker. Even though you're paraphrasing back, you're paraphrasing my message.
So you hold this talking
I hold
stick.
this because I'm still in
Okay.
the role of the speaker.
That's what I wanted.
Does
to
that make
know.
sense now? And thank you for asking that, because I'm sure somebody else had the same question and they weren't brave enough to ask it. So
Okay.
thank you. So yeah, the speaker has the implement. The listener doesn't. Now the listener can earn the implement, the object, but the way they earn it is by showing understanding. And understanding does not equal agreement. Can I say that again? Because a lot of times we think, well, if I understand them, that means I agree with them. No, it doesn't. It might mean that, but it might not. We don't know. So speaker keeps the object while the listener paraphrases, but then once I feel understood, it's your turn. And you share. So it's almost like two separate monologues that comprise a dialogue. Is that a fair way to put it? But again, the goal is understanding, not persuasion. And so many relationships struggle because each person is trying to be understood, and that need is so deep that they don't care about understanding the other. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Other questions? Got time for one more. How about you on Facebook? Any questions? Oh, sorry, you can't.
Actually, they can.
Oh, they can? Are they?
Nobody's put a question yet.
Okay. Facebook, we have questions right here. So if you seriously, they just type it in and you can relay it to me. There you go. I thought I was kidding and I wasn't. So keep those cards and letters coming. All right. So we're clear on the speaker listener technique. I'm going to tell you right now, when you practice this, it'll be awkward. It'll be awkward. It will. Count on it. It's kind of like the first time you drove a stick shift automobile. Who remembers the first time they drove a stick shift automobile? Do I dare ask how long ago that was? No, thank you. Yeah, for me it was 50 years ago, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. And the reason we remember is because we felt like such a klutz. We felt like we felt so, oh, this is crazy. And so what did we do? We said, well, I guess I'm just not cut out to drive a stick shift automobile, and we just gave up. Is that what happened? No. No, we stayed with it. And after a while, we got to where we can drive a stick shift like nobody's business. That's what this speaker-listener technique, it's what any new skill is. It's awkward at first, by definition. Don't give up. I know some people now taking watercolor for crying out classes for crying out loud. I'd love to see their early works. So the handouts are under the Facebook page, under documents. Did I hear it?
No, if they just go to our church's Facebook page.
Go to the church's Facebook page. They'll be right there. So pull them up. I didn't get my nap today. That's my best excuse. I like Sabbath afternoon lay activities.
We do have a question for you.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is, how long should each speaker and listener have?
You know, that's a great question. How long should each speaker and listener, how long should they stay in those roles? I don't know that there's a one-size, great question, by the way, thank you. I don't know if there's a one-size-fit-all. I think the situation and the conversation will dictate that. But you just want to allow time for both to be understood. So stay on an issue as long as you need to get understanding. Because the real issue that I was running by Nate might think that I think all pastors are overpaid and underworked. Now, I don't think that, by the way. But you would have no idea of that just on that brief interaction that we had. You wouldn't know that. Because I'm not going to say that right at first.
No, in fact, actually asking me to paraphrase what you said in one sentence is not exactly fair either.
Okay. And I don't remember that I said you had to paraphrase in one sentence. If I said that, forgive me. That's a good point. I don't think you have to.
No, you said in one sentence what you wanted me to turn around and paraphrase.
Yeah.
So short of saying the exact same thing that you just said, which is not actually a paraphrase, it's repetition, it is hard for me then to paraphrase if you don't actually give me something to paraphrase.
And that you didn't have enough material to
That's
work
the
with.
point.
I understand that. But this is my program, Nate, not yours. I'm in charge here, not you. Let me get that mic back to Bernie. Oh, I love you, brother. Oh, you got one? Okay.
So the person that is not a practiced or active listener, that is a shoot and loader, will just listen long enough to say, oh yeah, That same thing happened to me, and then they jump off into their own story.
Ooh, ooh. That ever happened to you? Somebody hijack your conversation? Yeah, it happens a lot. Again, because each person wants to be understood. We're not good listeners, folks. We're not good listeners. We can hear with relative ease. Listening is a different subject. How many of you know people that you consider a good listener? I'm serious now. Do you know somebody who's a good listener? When you think of those people, does it bring a smile or a frown to your face? Smile. Those are the kind of people that can brighten up any room just by entering it, as opposed to some of us who can brighten up any room just by leaving it. But people who will take the time to listen to you, that's honoring. That's respectful. That's validating. And we don't do it. We don't do it. So, when that happens to me, I say, okay, go. I'll listen to you. You don't want to listen to me, I'll listen to you. And we'll take the conversation where you want it to go. Unless I really have to be understood, in which case, hey, can I have another run at what I wanted to say? But again, relationships are tricky business because we're imperfect human beings. And God gave us some guidelines and gave us some instructions, but there's still a lot of stuff He wants us to figure out on our own. I believe that. So yeah, conversation thieves, they have a need to be understood. So give it to them. Understand them. Is that answer? Okay, all right. I think we should move on. By the way, my email is ron@ronprice.com, ron@ronprice.com. If you have individual questions, if you have a particular situation that's personal to you and you're not comfortable voicing it in public, I understand that. Send me an email. We'll figure out a time to visit together, and I'll share my thoughts. I'm not going to promise I have all the answers. I don't, but I'll give you some things to think about. That I will promise you. I can give you things to think about that you maybe haven't thought of otherwise. That's all. All right, what's next? Oh, how come this isn't moving again? Implement more humor, fun, and laughter in your home and workplace. Yeah, that's obviously an antidote to germ number 5, not enough fun. But there's a guy named Willard Harley. Willard Harley wrote what might still be the greatest book on marriage of all time. I don't know that, but His Needs, Her Needs. Has anybody heard of it? Yeah, Willard Harley. Good stuff. He's got something he calls the Recreational Enjoyment Inventory. Did I put that on your notes? If not, you're going to need to write it down. Yes, I did. If you go to www.recreational enjoyment inventory, this is what you're going to pop up. It's actually about 7 pages worth of activities. And what do we see here? Acting, aerobic exercise, archery, baseball playing, baseball watching, and so forth. A to Z just about of different activities, 7 pages. And what you do, the husband goes down the husband's column right there on the left. The wife goes down the wife's column on the right, because the wife is always right. Unless she's left-handed, and then she slaps you. Stop it. And for each of these activities, you write down a score. From -3, I don't ever want to do that. I don't ever want to do that. To +3, I'd like to do that pretty often. And you just go down real quick. You just grade them. And then you come back together, and you're looking for the 6s. You're looking for those activities that you both said +3 to, and then you schedule time to do them. You take time to do them. Let me give you one more. This isn't in my notes, but it popped into my mind. This comes from the Prep Inc. people as well. And by the way, I write about it in, never mind. Get 10 index cards. Get 10 index cards. Your index cards. What did I just do? Didn't that just fade out on me? Get 10 index cards each, and on one index card, you write down, I want to go to Durango for dinner or a movie. Well, you wouldn't pick Durango. You'd pick Montrose probably, because people from Montrose are picking Grand Junction. I want to go on a cruise. I want to go camping, I want to do whatever. What's an activity that you would like to do together, primarily as a couple? No kids. Some of them can be family, but most of them should be couple. Because I'm going to tell you right now, kids, block your ears. Your kids will complain if you two go off for some time, just the two of you. They'll kick and scream and complain, and as soon as you're out the door, they'll go, yes. Because kids get it. No, not for the reason you may be thinking. You want to give your kids the best gift you can give them? Stay together. Give them a home where mom and dad are together. Now, again, I know that's not possible in every case. I know that divorce happens, and it's not always our choice. I realize that. But I'm convinced after 29 years of watching people split up, so many of them said, you know, we decided to put the kids first, and we stopped focusing on the marriage. That's a mistake. That's not putting the kids first. So of these 10 cards, at least 8 of them ought to be just as a couple. A couple of them can be family. I want to go on a picnic. I want to do whatever. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. So you got your cards. And the kids can even have 5 cards of their own. Activities that they'd like to do as a family. So when you start this, husband goes to wife's deck of cards. He pulls out a card. And it says, oh, you want to go out for dinner and a movie. Don't make any plans for Sunday evening. This is after COVID, of course. We're going out for dinner and a movie. Her idea, he's making it happen. Do you see the beauty in that? And then a couple of weeks later, she goes to his deck of cards and pulls out a card. Oh, it says you want to go for a walk along the river. Don't make any plans for Sunday afternoon. I'll make sure the kids are taken care of. We're going for a walk. His idea, she's making it happen. Now again, put some big things on. I want to go on a cruise. Well, great. Don't make any plans for Sunday afternoon. We're going on a cruise. No, you're not. No, you're not. But you can say, you know what, Sunday afternoon, we're going to go online. We're going to start doing some research. We're going to look into various cruise lines. We're going to look into places we might want to go. We're going to start to figure out a budget. We're going to do some planning leading up to the cruise. Take notes, start a folder, put that card back, and then pull another one that's more readily doable. This deck of 10, I'm telling you, it's a great way to keep fun in your relationship, and you're doing different things. You're doing different things. You're getting out of the rut. So, all right, difficult people. Difficult people. They're everywhere. And as I said last night, they're probably hurting people. People are not usually difficult just for the sake of being difficult. There's a reason. There's a reason. That's where the speaker-listener technique can come in, because you can really dig down. You keep like peeling back an onion and getting to the heart of the matter. But there are some people that are difficult. We all have them in our lives. So let's look at some things we can do to deal with difficult people. I think there's a rule that I put above and beyond any other rule when you find yourself dealing with a difficult person. I do not expect you to come up with the right answer, but I'd appreciate it if you come up with some guesses. What do you think rule number 1 would be in terms of dealing with a difficult person? Avoid them. And if you can. If you have no relationship with them and they don't mean anything to you, you can maybe avoid them. Yes, sir.
Define difficult person.
A person that gets on your nerves, gets under your skin. I was asked to define a difficult person. Somebody that is into their own self and doesn't care a lick about you. I can come up with lots of definitions. Do you have one you want to share with us? All right. Anybody else? What's a difficult person for you?
What if you are one?
I wouldn't know. The question was, what if you are one? Yeah, I wouldn't know. You know what? Is this in my notes? If not, that's a great question. I'm sorry?
That's a good question. What if you're the annoying person or difficult person?
Figure out why. I'm serious. Totally serious. Figure out why. And sometimes we need outside help to do that because we can be blinded to our own selves. You know that. All right, let me share this. It's not in my notes, but it's something I often teach. It's called button guard. Button guard. I got it from a book called Verbal Judo. Verbal Judo by George Thompson and Peter Jenkins. Are you familiar with it, Nate? It's a good book. How to use verbal skills to diffuse tense situations. And he calls it trigger guard because it's for law enforcement. I call it button guard. Let's do it right now. What types of people push your buttons? I don't want names and no pointing. Whiny people. Man, they can push your buttons. Who else? Bossy people. Yeah, you better not say that again. What did I hear over here? Stubborn people. Yeah, who else? This is good. Yes. Yes, butters? Yeah. Yeah, what you just said is a bunch of nonsense. Listen to me. I've got the truth, huh? Yeah. Naysayers. Yep. Whatever you say, they're going to say the opposite just to be cantankerous. All right. Yes. Micromanagers. All right. So we've got a good concept then. We understand that certain types of people push our buttons. That's step one in the button guard model. Step two is you give them a name. Now, I'm going to caution you, give them a polite name. It might sneak out in public, and I don't want you to be embarrassed. Give them a polite name, and then you own them. That's step three. You identify, you name, you own. Not in a hostile sense, but you have taken back responsibility for your own life. They can't push your buttons anymore. Let me tell you how this worked for me. And when I say this may have saved my life and my wife's life, thankfully we'll never find out, but it's possible. One of my bad habits that I'm willing to admit to you is that I drive faster than I should. I will often find myself in the left lane of traffic, and I'll come up behind a vehicle who's driving slower than I wish them to drive. It's okay. I'll flash my lights, which is my way of saying, hello, neighbor.
I've seen you behind me before.
Shh. Hello, neighbor. Can I see the back of your head for a moment, please? It's you. That's just my way of saying, hello, neighbor, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Listen, I want to drive faster than you. Would you please pull over because slower traffic is supposed to... You've seen that sign, haven't you? It's supposed to keep right. Huh?
Passing the car.
No, if I'm coming up behind you, there's no car there. No, thank you. That's a great point. It's up to me to make sure that there's nobody in the right lane. I'm not going to put you in danger. Thank you. You were kidding maybe, but that's a good point. No, I know that there's plenty of room for them to pull over, so I flash. And many times, they'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there. Of course I'll pull over. And I drive by and I wave to them, thanks so much, and I go on my way. Many times they won't pull over. They don't pull over. You know what my first assumption is? They didn't see me. They didn't see me. I'll flash again. God help them if they don't pull over that time. Because I would. I would pull over. I would speed up. I would get past them, I would signal left, I would pull right in front of them, and depending on how angry and stupid I was at the moment, I would certainly take my foot off the gas. I may or may not put it right on the brake. I'm not boasting here when I'm telling you this story. What's my blood pressure doing at that moment? What are my teeth doing? What are my fists doing? I'm working myself up into a tizzy because of some blonde lady who doesn't know how to drive. Sorry. 1,000 pardons. Okay, there you go. Do you see what I'm saying, though? I'm getting myself all worked up because somebody doesn't know how to drive. And I drive with New Mexicans. There was a song a few years ago. You remember the song, Walk Like an Egyptian? Somebody wrote the song, Drive Like a New Mexican. What's the universal color for caution? Yellow. That's why New Mexico license plates used to be yellow. Now they've changed them. They should have left them as yellow. You should have been forewarned. You're driving with a New Mexican. Oh, they're pretty turquoise and black and red and green chili and all sorts of stuff now. Where was I? So I read about button guard. And I realized that it's foolish. I'm giving authority of my life to somebody else that I don't even know just because they don't know how to drive. That's foolish. So I realized the people who drive in the left lane push my buttons. I gave them a name. Would you like to hear it? Stop the recording, please. No. Lefty La Lane. Huh? Lefty La Lane. It's courteous. It's not insulting. It's not demeaning. It's not derogatory. Lefty La Lane. And lefty gets around. Lefty is sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes old, sometimes young, sometimes driving any which manner of vehicle. But I'm telling you the absolute truth. As God and my wife are my witnesses, ever since I heard this, and I'm going back 25 or 30 years, I come up and I flash one time. If they don't pull over, I have conditioned myself to say, Ron, that's lefty. You are not going to teach lefty how to drive. It's not your place. You can pray for them if you want, but just signal right, speed up, and go on your way. What's my blood pressure doing? What are my teeth doing? What are my fists doing? Do you see what I'm saying? I own lefty. Lefty doesn't own me. Now, you folks know what I'm talking about. You let people bother you sometimes when you really could blow it off. Should you in every case? No. No, I don't think so. But something like that, why should I get all worked up because somebody else is driving in a way I don't think they should drive? Figure out who pushes your buttons. Give them a name as a reminder that you're not going to just have an attack, an emotional hijacking, what have you, because of what somebody else does. Amen? How did I get off on that? Somebody asked a question that triggered that in my mind. What's the number one rule? If you're dealing with a difficult person, and again, a stubborn person, a whiner, any of them, we just heard some definitions of difficult people. What's the number one rule? Putting on your button guard. Putting on your button guard. Button guard? Yeah, well, I hadn't told you about that when I asked you for the rules, so that's a good guess, and thank you, but no. Here we go. This is my rule. You don't have to agree with me. Safety for all concerned. What I'm about to share with you is for reasonable people, rational people. There are some people we deal with that are not in that category. They're whimsically called a few fries short of a Happy Meal. There are some people, for whatever the reasons, are not capable of reasoned, rational behavior. Don't put your life in danger by trying to reason with somebody who's not reasonable with. That's bad English, but you know what I'm talking about. So safety for all concerned. If you're in a difficult situation with a difficult person, get some backup, get somebody else with you, call 911, get out of there, do whatever you got to do. Please, let's just agree, rule number one is safety for all concerned. Okay? Because otherwise, if you try some of these things that I'm about to share with you, I don't want to be responsible. I don't mean it that way. I mean it could get ugly. Okay? All right, here we go. You've heard it said you can't take it with you. I'm going to tell you you shouldn't take it personally. If you're dealing with a difficult person, chances are it has nothing whatsoever to do with you. Can I repeat that? If somebody's getting all upset with you, it might have nothing whatsoever to do with you. We talked about that a little bit last night. You just happen to be there. You're in striking distance. They're going to take it out on you. And if once you take it personal, then you're enhancing the situation, making it worse, I should say. Don't take it personal. It may be that something you're doing. Well, that's a different story. Then engage in the speaker-listener technique and really want to understand. Hey, help me to understand. Talk with me, not at me. What am I doing that's bothering you? I want to know. And genuinely want to know, they'll probably tell you. Right away, maybe not. Body language. I'm not a big advocate of body language. I don't understand it fully. I'll admit that. There's all sorts of research and science into body language. I'm just saying here, be aware of it. What does this mean? Closed? Okay, what else does it mean? Tired? What else does it mean? I don't care. What else does it mean? Skeptical? What else does it mean? I've changed my mind? Oh, I'm not going to change my mind. You're one of those stubborn people that Ron doesn't like. No, she's not. You can like Kathy. I'm not listening. You know what else it might mean? I'm cold. I'm cold. Or I'm comfortable. This can be a very comfortable position. And so we see that, oh, you're closed. We start to read into, that's my concern about body language. We read into it, and we can be totally wrong. And then that becomes our reality, and we create, are you taking a picture of me? Yep. This is my best side right here. I'm dangerous. Somebody lock me up, would you please? Where was I? Don't read too much into body language. Now, if this is combined with, that's a little bit more information, isn't it? Or this, come on. So be aware of your body language in particular. The more relaxed you can be, you're sending a message of, hey, we can do this. We can talk. It doesn't have to get out of hand. If you're sending a uptight message, you could be contributing to the situation. So be aware of theirs, most especially be aware of yours. Another technique that I advocate, huge, you're dealing with a difficult person, is smile. Smiles can be so powerful. They can help to tone things down and get people to a better place with a smile, but please don't overdo it. You got somebody who's upset with you, and they're all this and that, and you put on the Cheshire Cat. I'm sorry. Doggers, you're going to make it worse, not better. But a gentle smile, just curl the lips up a little bit. You're modeling for them that, hey, it's okay. Don't be syrupy. Thank you. No, that's a great point. Don't be syrupy. Just be real. But again, model gentle smile. Gentle smile. I think it'll get you a long way. Now, here's one that I think is true. Laughter is the best medicine. You're dealing with a difficult person. I suggest laughter is a good thing. I don't like the word thing, but something good to do. Somebody argue with me, please. Is laughter always the right approach when you're dealing with a difficult person? Why not? Oh, what do you want to say? Can we get a mic? Hold on, Ron's been sitting too long, see? What's your name, ma'am?
I'm Vicki,
Vicki, what do you got?
and I grew up in a relatively mirthless home.
I'm sorry.
And
Mirthless or merciless?
mirthless.
Not a lot of laughter?
No.
Okay, all right.
My father had a marvelous sense of humor, but he had learned through the years he modeled that to us kids, but it couldn't be, he had to be careful about it being modeled around my other parent. And so I confess to you that your presentations with a lot of humor are difficult for me.
Okay, thank you.
And so I have to deliberately be conscious of listening to your words and trying to dismiss that which is foreign to me.
Okay, I accept that.
That's hard.
Okay. I'm going to offer a suggestion, Vicki, and this
Okay.
is not an I'm right and you're wrong, I promise you.
No?
But I do have it on good authority that a merry heart is a good medicine.
Yes, I understand
And I am
that.
sorry, and I mean this, I am sorry that your beginning was that humor and laughter is not good. I would take that to the Lord and say, Lord, give me a merry heart. Lord, give me a merry heart.
And another thing that's been helpful to me is I looked in the mirror not very many months ago and realized that I have the pursed lips wrinkles
Oh,
of my mother,
really?
and I don't want that.
Okay.
And so I have deliberately tried to smile more. But for those who have not grown up with the idea that laughter is okay, somehow when my mother became a Seventh-day Adventist, she absorbed that laughter was not okay.
I'm sorry. And this church has that history of we couldn't do a whole lot of things, and joy and humor were a couple of them, and that's wrong. And so again, do I need to be more aware that everybody won't appreciate my humor? Perhaps. I don't know that I can change because, yeah, thank you. All right, you're not asking me to do that. Thank you. But I think laughter is a great medicine. Vic? Yes. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
A person had commented that laughter can irritate my stepfather.
Laughter can irritate, and that's exactly the point I'm making. That's why I said somebody push back and argue with me. If somebody feels you're laughing at them, you're going to escalate that situation big time. But if you can get somebody laughing with you, then that's a good thing. Let me give you an illustration. Back when I was a probation parole officer, and again, some are here that weren't here last night. Let me quickly scan the room again. Okay, I only recognize 2 of you. That's good. I'm kidding. I had a lawyer call me up one day. He was mad. Ooh, I could tell right off the bat he was mad. Using words that he wouldn't use in a courtroom. And he got to me. He got to me. And I finally said, I don't have to take this from you, and I hung up. He got to me. But then I calmed down. In fact, I called the judge and talked to the judge, and the judge agreed with me. But the lawyer wasn't done yet. He called my boss and said, I want to come talk to you about price. The boss said, okay, come on over. So he comes over, and we go into this private room, just the 3 of us, the boss, the lawyer. I'll call him Buford. I don't know any Buford, so I'll call him Buford. Do we have any church members named Buford? All right, Buford. And we sit down, and just then the phone rings. And the boss answers the phone. Why do we do that? Why do we say that whoever's on the phone is more important than whoever's in our immediate? You know what I'm saying? To me, that's rude. I've done it. Come on, we've all done it. But anyway, he picks up the phone. So I turned to Buford, and I said, Buford, what's your problem with me? And I said it gently, because again, I had calmed down. I just said, Buford, what's your problem with me? He said, I'll tell you what it is. You're a snake in the grass. You got no morals. You're lower than the low. I may have the order wrong, but he said those 3 things. Snake in the grass, lower than the low, no morals. Now, folks, I started life in Rhode Island. Sarcasm is an art form in Rhode Island. Just take my word for it that I could have come back at him with all sorts of zingers. But what would that have done to the conversation? So here's what I said to him. I said, well, Buford, does that mean I don't get to ride in your new car? He just bought a new car. And I said, just that calmly, with again a smile, well, Buford, does that mean I don't get to ride in your new car? I wish you could have seen him. He went, what? Because he was braced. He was braced for let's escalate this. Let's get the battle. Let's raise it up. And he almost physically, what? And then he said, oh, Ron, don't be childish. I said, Buford, who's being childish? What is this snake in the grass business? What's your problem with me? And he told me. He told me. I'm going to say right now, if I had done what he thought I had done, he had every right to be that upset with me and more. Every right. There's only one thing wrong with that equation. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm not going to get into the details now. They don't matter. He thought I had done him wrong. I hadn't. It appeared that way. I can see that. Sort of. But there wasn't an iota of truth in it. I hadn't done it at all. And I was able to explain that to him. And he said, okay. And we shook hands. And later months we played tennis together.
Did you ride his new car?
I didn't ride in his new car. I need to get back and fix that. Laughter, well used, it can be to soften it, especially if it's self-deprecating laughter. We're talking about that this morning, Bernie. If you can poke fun at yourself somehow. That's what I did. I remember I told you, those of you here last night or watching last night, I talked about in Montrose, the parking lot where I almost forced a lady into her car. After I apologized, and I said, by the way, I'm a New Mexican. None of us know how to drive. I'm so sorry. And again, it brought a little smile. It helped to diffuse the tension. But again, when in doubt, what's the next words? Leave it out. Leave it out. Because laughter is dangerous. It can backfire on you. I just want to leave it at that. Here's another thing you can do. You're dealing with a difficult person. Keep calm. Soften your tone. Soften your tone. You're modeling for them. They're getting agitated. You stay calm. because they're going to have to calm down to hear you. A person can't stay agitated. A normally messed up person like all of us can't stay agitated if the other person is refusing to take the bait. If they're not joining in that agitation, the agitated one will calm down. So soften your tone, keep calm, use their name. I often say that somebody's name is the most beautiful sound in the English language. It's a beautiful name. So you've got somebody all upset and irritated and difficult and hostile, whatever. Use their name. Again, it has a calming effect. Always? I didn't say that. These are just different techniques that I want you to have in your toolbox, your arsenal for dealing with difficult people, difficult situations. Get into the habit of playing high, low, learn. Especially those of you with children, but anybody. Play high, low, learn. What was the high point of your day today? What was the low point of your day today? What did you learn today? You ask your child, what'd you do in school today? What are you going to hear? Nothing. What'd you learn today? Nothing. Play high, low, learn. What was the high point? What was the low point? What'd you learn today? And everybody participates. Here's another one. 100-item activity. You sit down and you write down the top 100 events of your life. You think back to times in your life that brought you joy. Birth of a child, wedding, baptism, graduation, promotion, cruise, whatever. Whatever comes to mind, 100 events, just write them down. Boom, boom. And don't get hung up on 100. If you only have 90 or 80 or 70 or 60, I don't care. But you write down the events that brought you joy. And everybody does that. Kids can maybe do 5 or 10 depending on their age. But then when you start this, somebody starts and says, all right, what was your number 17? Oh, yeah, number 17. And they don't just rattle it off, oh, it was the time we went to the Grand Canyon. No, you talk about, oh, we went to the Grand Canyon and we weren't sure we could make it and we met those neat people, remember them? And you rekindle the feelings of joy that you experienced when you first experienced it. You relive it. And then that person says, all right, what was your number 22? 22. Oh, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? It can rekindle joy. And folks, we need joy today. Thank you. I was going to repeat it if I didn't get an amen. Thank you, Bob. We need joy today. It's hard out there. Joy. So 100 items. And don't do it every day. Don't make it, oh, we got to do it. No, but sometime for an evening. Shut off the news. Shut off the TV. And just play that 100 item and rekindle, relive the joyous moments. All right. Look at this guy. This guy's having an emotional hijacking. And I explained that to you earlier. It's when your frontal lobe shuts down or your amygdala, your emotional brain, overpowers. And again, there's a researcher, John Gottman, in Seattle, Washington, who calls it being flooded. Some of you remember cars with carburetors. Did you ever get a car flooded? What was the only remedy? Sit and wait. Now, every now and then somebody says you could floorboard it. And I tell them to shut up. Where were you when I needed you? For most of us who didn't know that, the only answer was to sit and wait, let the gas seep out of the carburetor. What if the car's flooded and you keep turning the key? Are you making it better, worse, or no different? You're going to kill the starter, kill the battery, you're not starting that car. What if the car's already flooded and you pump more gas into it? And you're making it better, worse, or no better? No different. Making it worse. Folks, hear me on this. You have been in a situation with another human being where one or both of you were flooded and you kept turning the key and you kept giving it more gas. You can deny it if you want. I'll have a hard time believing it. But can anybody think back to a time when that was a positive thing to do? It was good that we kept turning the key and good that we gave it more gas. I don't think so. I mean, I'll wait. I got time. I'll wait. That's why calling the time out is so important. You've got to do whatever you can do to get back to your thinking brain. Because if you're in your thinking brain, you're going to make better decisions than you ever will from your emotional brain. We need the emotional brain. God knew what he was doing when he put it as part of our lives, a part of our mechanism, whatever. But the emotional brain is a terrible decision maker. Terrible decision maker. And people have made some awfully bad decisions that they live to regret because they were so emotionally charged, they didn't think through them. So avoid emotional hijacking. Let's look at some ways we can do that. Ask questions. Ask questions. You've got somebody who's getting upset and getting on your case and whatever. Ask questions. And choose your questions carefully. Don't ever ask, what the blank's the matter with you? That's not the question I have in mind. But questions like, wow, I can see you're upset. Can you help me understand? Something's got you bothered. I know that, but help me. What is it? What's going on here? Ask questions gently, calmly, with a little smile. Again, remember, we're modeling for the other person how we want them to act. We're not joining them. We want them to join us because we're in our thinking brain, hopefully. And if we're not in our thinking brain, we call a time out and schedule a time in. It fits together. So ask questions, because to answer the question, they may answer your first question from their emotional brain. You bet I'm upset. Blah, 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 blah. Ask it again. Well, I can see that. Help me understand why. If you can keep calm and ask them questions, eventually, again, assuming that they're not the person I warned you about at the beginning who's dangerous, they're going to have to calm down. They're going to have to get into their thinking brain to answer your question. They'll run out of steam unless you're putting more coal on the fire. I have never said that before in my life. I like it. I'm going to say it again. Can you write that down for me? If you're not throwing more coal on their fire, they're going to run out of steam. That's good, huh? Thank you, Lord. And it's true. It's true. You can't control them. You can control yourself, and then you can have impact on the situation. Here's another one. I love this picture. Look at that picture. Talk to yourself in the third person. If you Google that, speak to yourself in the third person, there's a lot of research that says by doing that, you're helping to stay in your frontal lobe, in your thinking brain. So in my case, if I'm starting to get upset, in my inner mind, I need to say, Ron, you're getting upset. Ron, what do you think you ought to do? Ron, you think maybe you ought to go for a walk? Ron, you think you maybe ought to take some time to calm down? Ron, you think you maybe ought to call a time out and announce the time in? Ron, talking to myself. I don't know if it's like the voice of our parents talking to us or something. I don't know the mechanism. But again, a lot of research that says if you can talk to yourself in the third person, it's going to keep you in your frontal lobe, in your thinking brain, in the command center, where by definition you're going to make better decisions. That's all.
I think when you do that, it's the equivalent of getting a second opinion, especially if you say it out loud.
Ooh, look at that. Even from yourself, you mean,
Yes.
a second opinion.
Gives
Isn't that
you
wonderful?
a second opinion.
Yes, I love that. And that ties in with something I said earlier. When I hear my words come back to me from somebody else, it makes me think, did I really say that? I don't feel that. So I love that. A second opinion, and you don't have to pay for it. I love it. I love it. Other thoughts, by the way? Oh, what do we got? Okay, my choir director sent me a letter to let me go and threatened me. I don't seem to get anywhere with the pastor. This is not a member of this church, I hope. The director won't talk to me. He blows up, dangerous. I've been there over a year. Wow. Seriously, ron@ronprice.com or 505-324-6328. If that's your question, call me. I'll be happy to talk to you, I promise. But there's a reason that people do what they do. And make note of this. People do things for reasons that make perfect sense to them at the time. It may be outrageous, outlandish, ridiculous, but at the time it made sense to them. So people do things for reasons that make sense to them at the time. You may have inadvertently done something that caused them to be upset with you. I don't know that. I mean, it's a possibility. It's not definite. I'm not accusing, of course. I don't know who you are. But there's some reason that they're treating you that way. It may have something to do with you. It may have nothing to do with you. Ask. Ask. As gently as you can. Say, you know what? I can tell that something's not right here, but I'm at a loss. Can you help me? And again, with a good attitude. Because chances are that it's all about them, that they're awful upset about something and they're just taking it out on you. I don't know that. I know it's possible. I know it's possible. So one of my life mottos, if you will, and again, I'm not God's gift to wisdom. Stop it. I'm sharing with you things that I've picked up along the way that others have said, hey, they're helpful. You do with them as you wish. But if I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask. In fact, do we have time? It's chapter 27 at work. I had a guy, he was a probation client of mine, DWI, serious alcohol problem. And he got arrested, and I was his probation officer. And we sent him to Hazelden in Minnesota. At the time, it was one of the top alcohol recovery programs in the nation. Maybe still is, I don't know. And he did great. He did so good. His name was Buford. He did so good. Is he related to the other Buford? They're all related, yeah. I let him off probation early. I mean, he had dotted every I, crossed every T, did everything fine. I said, you're done, go be well. Well, I stopped being a probation officer, and probably 3 years later, but I would see the guy. He worked at a grocery store that I frequented, and hey, Ron, hey, Buford, how you doing? And we'd talk, and it was very friendly. And like 3 years later, I find out he's drinking again. I don't even know how I found out. Somebody who knew him and knew me said, hey, Buford's drinking again. I said, oh, man. What are you going to do? I'm having that conversation, looking for the second opinion. Well, you're not his PO anymore. You got no authority. Just shut up and mind your own business. I couldn't do that. Again, I'm not God's gift to anything, but I am of the sort, the type of person I want to be, cares about people. I can't just let it go. I said, I got to go talk to him. All right, good. What are you going to say? I don't know. And then I thought, if I don't know, maybe he knows. Now, I'm not suggesting you do this, but this is what I did. I went to him. I said, Buford, I got a problem. Oh, what's that, Ron? I said, well, I need your help. I think you can help me. I said, I got this guy, very much like you. He had a problem with alcohol. We sent him off to treatment. He did great. And now I hear he's drinking again, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should go to him or if I should mind my own business. He said, well, do you care about this guy? I said, Buford, I do. I said, I'm not going to pretend we're best friends. It's nothing like that, but I know how hard he worked, and I'd hate to think that he's going to lose it right now. He said, well, then I think you should go talk to him. I said, good, here I am. Now, some would say, ooh, that's underhanded. Oh, that's manipulative. No, it's not. I didn't go for my sake. I didn't go for my own glory or whatever. I went for him. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, Buford, I hear you've been drinking again, and I'm not here to cause you any grief, but I hope it's not true. I just want to remind you how hard you worked, and do you really want to throw all that away? He said, well, do you think I ought to go back to meetings? I said, I don't know. You do. I'm just here to encourage you. Please, don't lose what you fought so hard for, please. And you know how some people will shake your hand and they'll go, okay, well, thank you for sharing, or some people will shake your hand. That's the handshake I got. He appreciated me coming. So if you don't know, where's Facebook? If you don't know, ask with a gentle spirit. Say, you know what, it seems to me that I've done something to offend you, or something's going on. Can you help me, please? Because if I'm offending you, I want to stop. I don't want to do that. That's not how I honor God. Please help me. Or maybe have another person there just so he doesn't go off or whatever. There could be all sorts of reasons, and you'll drive yourself crazy trying to figure out what they are, and you'll probably be wrong. You'll probably be wrong. If you're trying to guess why somebody else is doing what they're doing, you're probably going to be wrong, because it could be any number of things. So I hope I answered that question. Okay. But I'm serious. 505-3, this goes for any of you. 505-324-6328. I'm not going to give you hours upon hours, but we'll set a time, we'll visit, and I'll just give you some thoughts to think about that maybe you wouldn't come up with yourself. Again, a second opinion, and I won't charge you either. So, or 505-324-6328. Or Ron at Productive Outcomes. Ron at Ron Price. ron@ronprice.com. All right. Oh, we got 15 minutes. Oh, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Timing matters. My wife knows. Oop, can you advance? Thank you. My wife knows there are certain times that she doesn't want to talk to me. In fact, this is a good story to share. Early on in our marriage, should I tell you that story? Sure, why not? My family didn't come to my wedding. They had come to the mistake wedding. They had to drive clear across country. Oh, they didn't want to go through that again. Plus, by that time, I was Christian. It was in a church, and I didn't want my Jewish family to have to endure coming to a church wedding. I knew they'd be uncomfortable. So we agreed that, hey, we'll get married here. We'll come back home, and you can throw a party for us then. So we get married. We go off to Orlando and had a wonderful honeymoon, Mickey and my wife and I. And we're back home. And about 2 weeks in, I decide I'm going to call my brother. I don't know why I'm telling you this story. I decide I'm going to call my brother. So this is 1981, January 1981, way before answering machines and all that kind of stuff. And the phone rings and rings and rings and rings. And finally, I just said, well, what took you so long? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it was great. We had a great time. Well, I talked to Dad the other day. Why? Well, how can they say that? They haven't even met her yet. And she's sitting right there. And I said, oh, you're kidding me. I said, you know what? I can't tell her that. You tell her that. And I hand her the phone. And she goes, hello? And she hears ring, ring, ring. Fortunately, I had a running head start. But anyway, why did I tell that story? I'm lucky to be alive is right. One more. I took Spanish with my mother-in-law one summer, conversational Spanish. And my mother-in-law and I, she's 105 now, for crying out loud. Born October 22nd, the day of disappointment in the year that Ellen White died, 1915. I often remind her that she was born on the day of disappointment. No, I don't. I'm lucky to be alive. Took conversational Spanish. And I came home and I looked at my wife and I said, oh, my precious guajolote, how nice to see you. She said, what does that mean? Just my new term of endearment for you. You're my guajolote. Ronald Mitchell, what does that mean? Sweetheart, you're troubling your pretty head. You don't need to. You're my guajolote. Don't worry about it. Well, finally, she realizes she's not going to get it from me. She calls her mom. So what's guajolote mean? Why? Because my husband's been calling me that ever since he got home. Her mom says, wait a minute, I'll look it up. They sent us home with a list of words. She goes to the list. She comes back to the phone. She says, hit him. It means turkey. So the moral of the story is don't take Spanish with your mother-in-law. Can I get back to my point now, please? Would you folks stop this? All of us have moments where we're not at our best, where we need space, not to end the relationship, but just to calm down, to recompose, whatever. Choose your timing. You know, if somebody's real hostile and upset, right, that's probably not the time to try to talk to them. Try to calm them down, try to get them back to their thinking brain, but then reschedule for a later time. Do you know what I'm saying? All of us have times where we need to be alone. That's why Zig Ziglar used to sell the 23-hour deodorant. He thought everybody was entitled to some alone time now and then. That was Zig Ziglar. That wasn't me. And he's gone now. He also talked about the deodorant called Stereo. It didn't cover up the odor, but it made it so you couldn't tell where it was coming from. We got to wrap this up. Choose your timing. There are good times to have conversations. There are bad times. And if you don't know, ask. Ask. Hey, I got something I want to run by you. It's a little dicey. Is this a good time? You're letting the person know, hey, come on, be on your best guard. I need you on your best behavior because this could go the wrong way. I don't want it to get ugly. Is this a good timing? Timing matters. All right, here we go. We're going to wrap this up with a bang. Left thumb, put it up. Put it up. Right hand, grab your thumb. All right. Now, there is some research that says grabbing your thumb is comforting. That's why children suck their thumbs. It's comforting. So if you are comforted right now, by all means, hold on. If not, feel free to let go. I just wanted you to get the experience of grabbing your thumb. Here's the story. Here's the story. Hear this. I love this story. It's one of my favorites. You are never angry just because you're angry. Neither is anybody else. Again, dealing with difficult people, if they're angry, they're not angry just because they're angry. There's a reason why they're angry. And if you can figure out the reason, you can do something about the anger. You with me so far? So this comes from Tom and Bev Rogers of the Rogers Christian Counseling Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. They teach that when you're angry, you should grab your thumb, look at your fingers, and think, why am I angry? What should I do about it? Grab your thumb, look at your fingers, and think, why am I angry? What should I do about it? What part of your brain is that forcing you to go into? The frontal lobe, your thinking brain. Yeah, you are forcing yourself into your thinking brain where you're going to make better decisions. So they were working with this couple. He was 6 foot plenty. She was 5 foot barely. He had a problem with anger. She talked him into going to counseling. He realized that, yeah, he got angry quite a bit. And they taught him, grab your thumb, look at your fingers, and it worked. For months, there's no more angry outbursts in that home. And then he comes home one day, and his 15-year-old daughter greets him at the door and says, Dad, can we go for a drive? He had a shiny sports car. She had her learner's permit. Dad said, all right, sweetheart, here are the keys to the car. Go start it, but don't move it. I'll be right out. Ladies, help me with this. You give the keys to a car to a 15-year-old girl. You tell her to start it, but not move it. What is she going to do? Thank you for your honesty. In this particular case, and this is a true story, right into and over the brick mailbox. Dad hears the commotion, comes running outside, instantly sizes up the situation, instantly starts to experience an emotion. Do you want to guess what it is? Begins with the letter A. The daughter jumps out of the car and yells, Dad, quick, grab your thumb. This is a true story. I promise you it's a true story. He grabbed his thumb and he calmly walked over to his daughter and he said, sweetheart, there are going to be some consequences for what just happened here. You willfully disobeyed me. You're going to pay to fix the car. You're going to pay to fix the mailbox. And your mom and I are going to have a discussion about when you'll be driving again. He said, but I want you to know this. You are my daughter. You are far more valuable, precious, and special to me than any car or any mailbox. I love you. Come here. And he gave her, are you feeling it? He gave her a father's tender, loving embrace. Do you think at that moment that daughter needed a lecture on why thou shalt not drive daddy's car into and over a brick mailbox? Do you think she had a pretty good indication that maybe she had messed up? I think so. At that moment, she needed reassurance that while she had messed up, she wasn't a mess up. While she had caused great damage to a vehicle and a mailbox, she was still loved by her father. And because he grabbed his thumb, are you hearing me? Because he grabbed his thumb, he stayed in his thinking brain, he was able to give the correct response. What kind of words might have come out of his mouth if he hadn't grabbed his thumb? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. We can all well imagine. I got to tell you, folks, I am so glad he grabbed his thumb. He's glad he grabbed his thumb, and I promise you that daughter is glad he grabbed his thumb. Of all the techniques that I teach, all the tools, tips, strategies, whatever, this is the one that I get the most feedback on. This one right here. Ron, I was starting to get upset with somebody, and I remembered to grab my thumb, and I made a better decision. Some of you can think back, oh man, I wish I had known this then. I should have grabbed my thumb in that situation. It's all right. Confess it to God, ask forgiveness, receive the forgiveness, and move on. But the next time you're in that situation, grab your thumb. Grab your thumb. Think about what you want to do. Amen? I love that story. Woo. Be disruptive. This is a little bit different. Is this the last one? Yeah, except for the handouts, yeah. Did we give them all at once? Good. I'll just go over those in a moment then. Again, I stand by what I said about the timeout. But you know what? If you're too upset, it's not the right time to talk. It's not going to go well. Don't even try. Just say, let's reschedule. But sometimes you can't do that. That's where the be disruptive comes in. You're having an argument with your spouse, and it's escalating, and negative interpretation is going on, and maybe even invalidation, and it's not going well. It's not going well. Here's what you do. You just say, you know what, hold on. I need some fresh air. Can we go outside for a walk, and we'll talk about this along the way? And you get outside, and you have a do-over. You say, you know what, we need to understand each other. You go first. Talk to me respectfully, please. Make it easy for me to listen to you, but I will. You're disrupting the negative pattern, the negative cycle of the oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You're disrupting it and having a do-over. You're having an argument with your teenager. All of a sudden, you say, wait, hold on. Man, all of a sudden I want some ice cream. How about if we hop in the car and drive down and get us an ice cream cone? You get in the car and you say, you know what? We need to understand each other. You go first. Talk to me civilly, talk to me respectfully. I'll listen to you. And then hopefully it's my turn. Do you see what I'm saying? You're disrupting that negative cycle. And if you don't disrupt the negative cycle, who knows where it might go? Yeah? Yeah. All right. I get to drive home 5 hours. No, it's not 5. It's about 4. I think it's about 4 hours, depending on how reckless I get over Red Mountain Pass. Not reckless at all. Comments, thoughts, questions? Hopefully you've gotten some tools that you can use. Now, use them soon or you're going to forget them. I don't mean to be negative with you, but that's what something you're going to start doing. In fact, is that the next slide? Yes. Yeah, right now, please. What's something based on what you just heard in the next 3 days? Don't wait. Don't say, oh, someday I'll do it. Someday I'll. It's a great place to live. Something you want to start doing, something you want to stop doing, something you want to continue doing, something you want to change. That wasn't supposed to be up yet.
You did it.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Well, get rid of it. I got rid of it. I never get applause from people. I got to bring my own. Stop it. What's something you want to start doing? You're not going to share this. Yeah, you're going to start applauding. What's something you're going to start doing based on what you just read? Look over that list. You know what? I need to start learning the speaker-listener technique. You know what? I got to start forming the habit of grabbing my thumb. I got to do whatever. I got to remember to soften my tone or smile or, whatever. What germs do you want to? What do you want to do? You just spent 2 hours of your life, and thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming this afternoon. It means a lot. It really does. You try to give a presentation like this in front of a room of 2 people, it just doesn't work. Do you want to read it?
The question is, do you ever find anyone who doesn't want to change their ways?
No, never. The question, did you hear it? Do I ever find people who don't want to change their ways? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But again, as I said last night, they're some of the most hurting people around. Hurting people are going to hurt people. And people have learned that if I try to change, it's bad, it's painful, whatever. Again, learning that mirth is not good. Vicki, that wasn't a good lesson to learn. I'm sorry. I'm certainly not judging you. But that's not how you want your kids to be raised, or, But when people do things for reasons that make sense to them, and if somebody's not willing to face their own issues, then you've got to make a decision. You either say, you know what? Okay, I'll put up with that. That's the list of 10 in the at workbook that I'm not going to let the bad overrule the good. There's a lot of good, and I'm going to overlook that. I can live with that. Or we got to get help, or 505-324-6328. I mean it. Ron at ronprice.com. We'll set up a time. We'll talk about it. If people are able to change and they're just refusing, that's one set of circumstances. Maybe they don't know how to change. Maybe they don't know what change is being requested of them. Do you see why these questions can't be answered just black and white, A, B, and C? There's different circumstances. Where'd you go? There you are. There's different circumstances that contribute. So let's visit, and I'll be happy to visit with you about that. It's a good question. It's a good question. Anybody else? All right, you got something you're going to change, something you're going to stop, you're going to continue, you're going to change, whatever. Do you know that people do not, this may be another question. Oh yeah, this is the answer to your question. Where'd you go? There you are. This is another answer to that question. People do not resist change nearly as much as they resist being changed. If this is true for you, raise your hand. Have you ever made a change in your life that you chose to make and you're still glad that you did? Yeah, look at the hands that are going up. Have you ever had somebody tell you you're going to change and to this day you still resent it? Yeah. It's not change. It's not change. It's, are we being told to change or are we choosing to change? So this person may feel that you're not going to accept them unless they change. It's possible. It's possible. In which case they're going to resent it, dig in their heels, and they're not going to change. That makes sense to me. So how can you help them to realize you're not trying to change them? Their behavior is hurting themselves or it's causing problems. Get their buy-in to where it's their change. I think you're further along. But again, we'll talk about it. Call me. A couple of extra handouts I gave you. This is foundational principles for raising conflict productively. Pretty self-explanatory. We talked about some of these, but I just wanted you to have this as another reminder. And this last thing comes from Ken Sandy, Peacemaker Ministries. Actually, he's not with Peacemaker Ministries anymore. He's with Relational Wellness 360 or something. But this is a biblical model of conflict resolution. And I came across this as I was preparing to be with you folks, and I didn't know how to work it into my presentation, so I just thought I'd give it to you. But some things to remember: glorify God in all matters. We as Christians, if we find ourselves in a conflict situation, our number one goal should be to glorify God in any matter of life. Get the log out of your own eye. I don't think I need to explain that one. Go and show your brother his fault. That's, yes, we're told to do that, but do it the right way, and then go and be reconciled. And then let's cover this just real quick. 7 A's of confession. If I've wronged you, and I say something to you like, I know I wronged you, but, or maybe I hurt you, but, if I try to soft pedal the confession, the apology, it's not going to get you anywhere. So here's 7 A's. Address everyone involved. Who have you hurt? You want to make it right? You talk to all of them. Avoid if button maybe. Don't say, well, maybe I hurt you. Well, if I hurt you. No, I know I hurt you. Admit specifically, that's the next one. I know I hurt you when I didn't show up for that appointment we had the other day. I know I hurt you when I forgot your birthday. I know I hurt you, or at least I firmly believe I did. And I want you to know I'm sorry. That's the next day. Apologize. And then accept the consequences. I was sharing with somebody recently that if you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean you have to stay in a relationship with that person. My opinion. Just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean you have to stay in a position where they may hurt you again. But you still have to forgive. You have to forgive. I don't want to be your defense attorney when you go to the Lord and try to explain why you refuse to forgive somebody who's hurt you. I don't want to take your case, because it clearly says if you're not going to forgive somebody else, then God's not going to forgive you. Forgive and seek forgiveness. Alter your behavior. Don't keep doing the same thing. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it again. I'm sorry. No. And then ask forgiveness and allow time. That's actually 8 A's, but they can't count. If you've wronged somebody, follow this model. Make it a sincere, heartfelt, hey, I really am. I've hurt you, and I know that, and I'm sorry. I'm not going to soft pedal it. I'm not going to make excuses for it. I just want you to know I'm sorry. And then leave it to them to do what they're going to do, which is hopefully the 4 promises of forgiveness. If you have a pen, cross off, I will not think about this incident. That's not possible. That's not possible. I will not dwell upon this incident. I will not, bless you. I will not dwell upon this incident. Because thoughts can come into our mind. We can't control all the thoughts that come into our mind. We can't do it. But what we do with those thoughts. So if a thought, I've forgiven you, and the thought comes into my mind of what you did to me, I can say, no. No, I've forgiven that. Or like one church lady said, I specifically remember forgetting that. Isn't that great? She was talking about how she had forgiven somebody, and the friend said, how can you forgive her? Don't you remember what she did to you? And the lady said, no, I specifically remember forgetting that. I love it. I love it. I will not dwell upon this incident. I will not bring the incident up and use it against you. I tell you I've forgiven you, but then I keep bringing it up. And I keep seeking payment from you somehow. That's not forgiveness. I will not talk to others about the incident. Same thing. I tell you I've forgiven you, but then you find out I'm still going around to other people and saying, oh, you know what Susie Joe did, or Billy Bob, or whatever. And I will not allow this incident to stand between us or to hinder our personal relationship if you're deciding to continue that relationship. So I just wanted to throw that in. Again, the texts are there. Peacemaker Ministries, great resource. There's their website. You can go to them.
No, when you read that last one, I will not allow this incident to stand between us or hinder our personal relationship. You said, if you decide to continue the relationship. So that is a legitimate option.
And I think I said that. I meant to say it earlier if I didn't, forgive me. But yeah, just because I forgive you doesn't mean I have to stay in the relationship with you. I may have been so damaged, I may have lost so much trust, or you and me, you may have said, you know what, I can't run the risk. I forgive you. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to be telling others about it. But no, in terms of relationship as it was, we're done.
Okay.
I think that has to be an option. It's 4:07. I should wrap it up, shouldn't I? You know what? If you need to go, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's have closing prayer. Let's close this out, and I'll stick around for questions. I can stick around till 4:30. So if we have questions, and I would like to cover that one, but if you need to go, no hard feelings at all. So Pastor, if you would, please.